Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I've said on this platform that Zimbabwe is a failed state. I've come up with many explanations why it is so. One of the reasons is to be that we, blacks in general, but Zimbabwean blacks, and those who are governing the nation right now, we have a unique attribute. We have no qualms about oppressing others, including our own fellow blacks. The primeval age to dominate has remained untouched by the more cultured, more civilized, more rational argument of do to others as you would have them do unto you. We've heard it all, but when you get into power, that is just water off a duck's back. Africa is poor. Yes, we were exploited by the white colonialists. But countries like Zimbabwe, we've been independent now 45 years. And we are even poorer now than we were then in 1980. And it has nothing to do with the white colonialists. At least nothing to do with the choices, the bad choices we have made. Here is this lady from Senegal talking about the same thing.
You have been lied to about Africa. I'm Magat Wade, and I was born in Senegal. Here's the truth. Africa is not poor because of colonialism. Africa is poor because we have made it impossible for our people to create wealth. Just take the example of opening a bakery. If an African entrepreneur wants to open a bakery, she needs 12 permits, different offices to go to, each costing money, each taking months. 6 months later, she gets all the permits, but most of her savings are gone. Now come the taxes. Business registration fees, income tax advances, value add tax, local levies, and endless compliance costs she's paying before she's sold a single loaf. Let's say she survives that and now wants to hire people. The labor laws make it nearly impossible to fire anyone. You hire someone, you're stuck with them forever. So she doesn't hire anyone. That's too risky. The bakery never opens. The jobs.
That is very true. The tragedy with Africa is it's not that we've not heard these stories. We've heard them so many times. It's just that we are not listening. As much as many of our leaders would condemn bad governance, but the minute they get anywhere near power, it has got this transforming effect on them. They forget all those things. As I said, their urge to dominate takes over, and common sense is thrown straight out of the window. In Zimbabwe, some of the poverty, grinding poverty, is imposed by the regime. People in Zimbabwe, it's unbelievable that in this day and age, anyone would still be living in a grass-thatched hut. That is amazing. This is the 21st century. I've said on this program, and I'll say it again, it's not that these people need a handout from government. All they need is to have title deeds to even 1 or 2 acres of land on which their mud hut stands. They will be able to build a better structure for themselves, improve that 1 acre by planting fruit trees, digging water wells, etc., etc., etc. This is not a new idea. This idea was proposed by the late John Robertson to Ian Douglas Smith's government in the 70s. It is common sense. You give these people title deeds. They can even go to the bank and get a loan of even $1,000. With that, they can build themselves a better structure to live in. And they can pay back that 1,000 in no time. But Ian Smith said no. He wasn't going to give the blacks title deeds to the land. His argument, you give them title deeds to the land, you economically empower them. The next thing they will be wanting is political empowerment. And Ian Smith was not prepared to give the blacks the vote. John Robertson gave the same proposal to Robert Gabriel Mugabe and his regime after independence in 1980. Mugabe rejected the proposal for exactly the same reasons that Ian Smith had rejected them. He did not want the rural people economically empowered because he feared Zanu PF would lose control over them. Blacks have had this unique attribute in that they have absolutely no whims about oppressing other people, including their own fellow blacks. They have absolutely no problem with that. This primeval urge to dominate kicks in, they will oppress their own kith and kin. The more rational position of, well, if you oppress them, tomorrow they will oppress you. This is just an endless cycle of you trying to dominate me and I will try to dominate you. It doesn't matter how long you dominate me, you always have to be looking behind your back where I am, because I'll be fighting to try to dominate you. And so we've been caught in this endless cycle of yesterday's liberators becoming today's oppressors. And today's oppressors have got to be fought. Endless. Here is what Margaret Dongo, herself a freedom fighter in Zimbabwe's War of Independence, said about Zanu PF and Zanu PF's policy towards the rural people in particular?
They have wrong priorities, especially the current government. How can you go and build an airport which services a few people, and the majority are the elite and the so-called investors? Look at the rural. I made you come to interview me because I wanted you to have the experience of the roads that we are using. If we go today to our hospital there, you feel pity with that's a hospital in a rural area. If we go to our clinic, you feel pity. We have no piped water here. Do you know the reason why the rural people vote for Zanu PF? One, they're intimidated. Two, the policy is that the rural people should remain poor and subservient to the government. They should remain poor because if they remain poor, they continue singing the song for their master. This is why these people have been impoverished. It's for a reason. Because at the moment, if you economic empower these people, they'll go out of hand. Zanu PF will never have control over them.
That is heartbreaking. These people are not asking for handouts from Zanu PF. All they want is the right to own 1 or 2 acres of land. And they can build something for themselves. They can dig themselves out of poverty. And yet the regime stubbornly refuses to give them even 1 square, 1 acre of land for their own selfish political reasons. The irony when it comes to the land issue is that Zanu PF ruling elite are the owners of the former white-owned farms. Some of them are hundreds of thousands of hectares. And they have got the title deeds. And yet the same people are refusing to give the rural people, the rural poor, title deeds to even 1 acre of land. It is heartbreaking. We know the solutions. We know why so many people are living in abject poverty. But we can't do anything about it because, unfortunately, those in positions of power and authority believe they have the divine right to oppress and keep the rest of the populace poor and living in abject poverty. This is not a foreigner doing it. This is one of our own. Tragic. Zimbabwe will never be truly independent as long as we keep the millions of the rural people living in abject poverty. This is something that some of the so-called intellectuals have failed to grasp out there. They think that they live in the urban centers. They've got a meaningful vote. That is good enough. It's not. Zanu PF has managed to stay in power all these years because it has got control of the 60% or so rural votes, whom the regime has been very careful to keep in abject poverty and totally dependent on the regime and its proxies. The rural people are no more than medieval serfs, beholden to the Zanu PF ruling elite and their proxies, the headmen, the chiefs, the war veterans, the party militia, who marshal them and head them like cattle to attend Zanu PF rallies, and then march them to the polling stations to vote for the regime. Zimbabwe will never be independent and have truly be masters of have the nation truly masters of their own destiny, as long as Zanu PF is allowed to hold millions of our people to ransom. It is tragic that nearly 50 years after independence, millions are still being denied the opportunity to own even 1 acre of land. Amazing. It is really heartbreaking, but there it is.